proving. I put that in that. Oh man, my voice is like, I'm tired, worn out. And I just want to, I don't know, just speak as if speaking to someone against our true Messiah and keeping the Father's commandments, and test this and prove it and see what it's made out of. And so someone from the church world rejects, gets angry, says something, and it's not about that. It's not, it's about love, which there's no such thing as love who the Father is. Love is love. That how, love can't be separated from the commandments, can it? I mean, we would be able to find the scriptures that make the connection very simply, but it's amazing how quick, prove, test all things to see what it is. And this is not out of putting someone in slave, like debt, go do this, go, just what his people should be doing. That's all. Just testing the actual understanding and teaching without commanding someone what to do. And so the question could be asked to someone, or someone would say in the churches out there, that we don't need to have anything to do with the commandments, keeping the commandments. That's like slavery or something. Even though the Father led through Moses, the mediator, out of Egypt, the world, keeping his commandments. That's the narrow way. And Egypt is lawlessness, getting out of this world in lawlessness. That's what he's leading his people out of. Messiah, though, his people now. Instead of Moses and carnal Israel, Messiah and spiritual Israel, his people. And so someone would say, how's it worded? Keeping the commandments. Because you don't have to. Or he kept it so we don't have to. And so the question is, are you, to the person, anybody, are they a follower of Messiah? Do they believe in him? Christianity specifically. And their answer would be what? No. They don't believe in the Messiah? No, it would be yes. Do you follow him? What would they say? No. Christianity would say no. No, they'll say yes. They have to, not because they want to. So they say yes and yes. Why did he keep the commandments? Why did he keep the Sabbath? Oh, so we don't have to. Because if someone's carnal, they will not accept the Creator's laws for the heart, what we need to keep in the heart. And so the next question would be, why did he keep it? Why did the Father do the works for him to keep the commandments? What's the reason why? What's the heart going to do? The heart goes, we kept it so we don't have to. Freed us from that. Okay, the same Creator. All his commandments come from the same Creator, from one. And so all his commandments are one. All the laws and commandments are one and connected and from the Creator, who is one. So then the understanding for one commandment is also for another, exactly the same. And the answer would be, he kept it so we don't have to. So that's basically it in a nutshell. So we don't have to. So then the next question is, did Messiah murder people? The answer was yes, he kept the Sabbath. Did he keep it? Yes. What are they going to say? No. Why did he keep it? No, so we don't have to. Did Messiah keep you shall not murder? No, did he keep that? What are they going to say now? That he's a murderer like them? So they'll say, yes, he kept you shall not murder. Why did he keep you shall not murder? Oh, he kept it so we don't have to. stuck, and it's over. No more fellowship. That's it. It's over. It's going to be war and murderous hatred in the heart. They'll prove that they don't keep the "you shall not murder." Murder right in front of you. He kept that so we don't have to. What about stealing? Did Messiah steal and rob, lie to people? What are they going to say? No. They're going to say, yes, he kept "you shall not steal." So they're going to say, no, he didn't steal. Why doesn't he steal? Why did he keep that? So we don't have to. Oh, freed us from that. So now, what is this actually saying in the heart? What's the heart believe secretly inside, spiritual? What does the heart believe spiritually inside, secret? Lawlessness. Yes, so we don't have to. Freed from righteousness. Just like we can read. Someone's either a slave to sin or a slave to righteousness, either being freed from sin or freed from righteousness, the Father's righteousness, his works, his power. But concerning who his people are, the patience of the saints that keep the commandments in the heart, first and foremost, being taught by Messiah, by the Father, by the Messiah, to keep what they mean and how to keep them, and give the power to keep it in the heart, because the heart doesn't change by our own power. So it needs to be cut off little bit by little. But the questions are so simple. And if they say he kept it because we don't have to, and you ask him, why did he keep don't murder? Did he keep it? Well, yeah, he kept that. He didn't murder. Why did he keep it? So that we don't have to keep it, so we could go and murder. Well, the scary thing is that just might be the heart then, if that's what it believes, and not whatever someone really believes in the heart. So he is or she is, because that's part of his judgment. So then whatever someone believes, it's a reality as a judgment for the person. So, and that's why what we believe, is connected to doing good works that the Father gives to do. It will lead to bad, evil works continually, to believe corruption continually. But it's in the heart. That's what's being tested. And what other answer is there for them? If they say he kept the commandments, then they say, okay, he did. Are they going to say that he didn't? He broke them? Well, that's sin. So they can't say that. So he kept it. He lived it. Father did the works through him. He lived it. The Father's every word, keeping the commandments. So what other understanding or reason would we get if it's not he kept it so we don't have to? What else? Something other than the truth. What else would be left to say? There's really not much anything else left to say. It's either like he kept it so we don't have to, or he kept it so we can keep it too, so that the Father gives us the power to keep it too, and learn it and keep his commandments in the heart first and foremost. And it's that quickly that someone separated, and the wrath just might come out in that moment, and what else is there to speak about? There's no fellowship with light and darkness. Of course, saying this only to bring something out, and not from the understanding that they would try to accuse his people of commanding people to do things and put them in slavery by commanding and controlling people. They might want to examine themselves and see if that's not what they're doing, because that's not how it is. The Father does the works day by day. We just wait for him to teach us anything we need to know and do. And he's going to teach us through Messiah to keep the commandments. That's what he's going to do. So then saying keep the commandments in that way, understanding the way that he works, not like a carnal pointing fingers and commanding kind of way and doing it of our own power, not like that. But yeah, still keep the commandments. We can't say they're gone. That's the trick. It's a strong trick, delusion. But it's so strong that, I mean, maybe it takes a few years for someone to start seeing this after believing, like it did for me. But in the meantime, he was already showing me things with the heart, already doing good works, already showing me in the meantime, a little bit of what sin is here and a little there. It's not as if there was no learning and growing that whole time, but finally it's like the knowledge came and started, better understanding came about what's happening. And so that's why I've said, and for all of his people, they look back and see that they didn't know anything. They look back in time and find out he was getting them just to this point, and that they didn't know what they know now. Which means, how can they command people in that same kind of condemning way? If they don't obey, then boom, you condemn them with the heart, when we didn't even do it like that. He doesn't allow for any partiality or boasting or lifting up like that pridefully. But I'm only saying this out of what he's shown me now. And it's, it really helps to know. It takes away a lot of confusion when he shows us something that we need to know. It's important. So it is monstrous at the end of the day then to say he kept it so we don't. They're not understanding the other thing. They won't, people are not open to, okay, maybe I'm not seeing something. Well, pretty much everything, but seeing something about what it means to be dead to the law and married to another. That's not, you can't go there, right? We can't ever go to not understanding something. But if they run from that, they run from the truth. There is no other answer without starting to understand that. Now it's a little dry. Tired. Running away from the only true thing, which is knowing what it means to die to the law. Like, it's likened to a marriage. And then the woman and man example, she can marry another if the husband dies, if the man dies, and not do any wrong because the person died. But it's something like that, because under the law, meaning under its condemnation, saying do this and don't do this and don't do this constantly. If we're all under that, it condemns us instantly because we can't do it. And when we say can't do it, the real meaning in the heart, what it really means, not what a carnal person would think means completing it, like the Apostle Paul or something, Saul before Paul, zealous of the law and only having a carnal natural understanding and keeping it like that only. Well, that's no good, not able to keep it in the heart. That's what it's always been about, circumcising the heart. Unable to do that. It requires death, dying in Messiah, specifically married to another. So now, not under condemnation, not under the law in that kind of way, but under favor. Or under the law is like hard time, because slavery to sin, it's going to just be punishment continually and condemnation for not being able to keep it the true way in the heart first, the heavenly thing, the spiritual understanding of each law. And the law is spiritual, like we read, and comes from one creator, so they're all one. So if one understanding is for one, it must be with the other also. Therefore, the whole keep it so you don't have to should apply for murder and stealing too, and suddenly something's getting exposed when we do that. When we say, well, he didn't murder people, so now we could murder them. I mean, that's nonsense. I mean, even they would see that's nonsense, but that's what makes someone angry, though, is because they could see something about what's going on a little bit. A natural man could see natural contradictions, at least a lot of times. They even blinded with that too, but then it gets angry, and you know that's the dangerous part, is when someone gets angry, because are they ever going to question it ever again the rest of their life, or is it going to get hardened and blinded more and more, like Pharaoh, the Egyptians, the world? Egypt represents the world and the darkness that comes over Egypt. Revelation, we have that darkness on the throne of the beast. All this world, darkness, and bondage to sin, which is the inability to keep his laws, is bondage and slavery to sin, which is hard time. No life, which is condemnation, spiritual destruction. So under his favor, is it, grace, favor is, the word sort of just speaks for itself. Favor, grace, allowing, not even allowing, it's just on the Father's time, without condemning, because he already knows, his word even declaring, but he declares that we can't do it. All the works are like filthy rags. None are righteous, none are good. No power from self. Of myself can do nothing, like Messiah said. So that's why that whole pointing the finger and condemning thing is huge, because there's no such thing in his way. That's not to say it's impossible to do. That would be stupid. That's all we've ever done, is sin. People sin until he starts getting us out of it. Is that there is no such thing as that kind of condemning spirit, pointing the finger, only correcting someone, rebuking like that, but then differently for the world, because they don't claim anything. So how could something be expected when it's not even expected in that kind of way for Messiah's people, with the kind of carnal condemning kind of thing? But not, yes, it should be expecting something out of his people, doing good works for real. But as far as understanding everything, that would be stupid and hypocritical, because nobody learned in one day. There's no example. Not even Messiah is the example for that. He's the example of learning and growing from a child, receiving the Spirit of the Father from the child. Already understanding, using the word more would be wrong, because the Pharisees had zero understanding. So any understanding that's given by the Father is understanding, and then over there it's zero understanding. So more is not really accurate, although it is more than zero. They didn't understand what he was doing. His own parents didn't understand. What are you doing? Lost you. Must be going about my father's business, and what's this kid doing? Sounds silly even talking like this, with where we're coming out of religion, because they have some other Messiah. They could never speak like that, because it's abomination to them that Messiah, learned through suffering, because it's not a sin to simply not know. if it was a sin to not know, then he would have sinned a lot just from not knowing. But it is a sin to like not want to learn and grow. I mean, that's connected with evil, but not knowing all by itself is no sin. And that's sort of a revelation all of itself. That was to me. Is where it just hit me. It's not a sin to not know. It is to a carnal man. That's sin to man's laws in his heart. That's he knows everything because people are trying to hide for what they don't know. If they would only admit what they don't know, then they would start to know. The Creator of the heavens and earth would give them that to start seeing. So just that's what was on my mind, just simple words of testing something, if something's true, it truly can't be contradicted. His word will support it everywhere. And if it's a lie, there'll be contradictions everywhere where we're not able to believe simple scriptures. We have to deny them if we have a lie. But here's the problem from those that aren't understanding or knowing what to do. They don't seek him, they don't ask him. If it looks like a contradiction in someone's mind, our own mind, the only thing someone should do is not throw away something else the Father's given them and try to make that fit. No, should just accept that we don't know something and it's just missing, and just ask for it and wait. And then when he gives it, they'll see themselves, his people, that it lines up with the other things that they see that they've been given, and not contradicting, only adding to, or another example in his word, and another example, and another. And all of these are agreeing with one thing, all together agreeing. It's like knit together. I think we read something about being knit together. I don't know exactly what the words are. It's all one. His word, his commandments. That's, the natural man doesn't want to do anything, have anything to do with the Father or the Creator. It's naturally in rebellion first. So we don't want to do what's right. It's not going to be ever like that where instantly we want to do what's right. I'll probably show you something first, and then you're finding out there's a little bit of a problem with wanting to do something that's right, whatever it is. And then it gets better because people ask, yeah, it seems silly to the carnal man, it seems stupid. And we even have Messiah giving a parable. Pray that the master sends more servants. How's it worded? He's like telling the disciples to pray for the owner of the vineyard. What is it? To send more workers. I'd have to read it because I'm missing some of the words. But if someone could see what that means, that's exactly what it is. Like I was just saying, to pray for, it's like praying for the want to do what's right, knowing something about it, but not seeing you don't have the perfect want to do whatever is required. And so that you pray that he gives you the want to do what he gave you to understand. It's like a circle. And that's what I see in that parable, wherever it is, I can't remember. Pray that the master sends out more servants for the harvest, because there's always room, or there's lots of room, we read. And that's Messiah saying pray to the master to send out more servants. Someone see that. Someone maybe could see that it like sounds on the surface silly or stupid. It would to the carnal man to really understand and do this thing. But that's what it is, though. He needs more workers, and the creator is the owner of the vineyard, and more workers are needed for the kingdom. For what's the word? More workers are needed, though, nevertheless, to do his work. There's more room, and it's his, and he does the works in his people, and there needs to be more. To pray to the master to get more workers so that that could be accomplished. That's like the one of the real spiritual takeaway meaning for that. It's teaching that very thing that could be applied to anything that applies. So it doesn't have to be about the vineyard or this or a tree or a window. It's not about that literal thing. It's what the spiritual teaching is that it means. Then you can apply that spiritual teaching, the parable meaning, to all kinds of things, for everything. I don't know what to call that. It's like a circle. I don't know what to call it, though. He's teaching that's what needs to be done. There's something about doing that. You would think just the master does the works and just makes it, and he's telling his people, the workers, to pray for more workers, to the master to send more into his own field. But as far as you know, keeping the commandments, I mean, that's like, oh man, it's like painfully obvious. It was always there in his word, everywhere, and it's all the punishment and judgment on Israel is for not able to keep him, breaking them constantly over and over. So the kingdom is divided. His people get scattered like for judgment. Evidence of sin is division. Proof for sin is division. Because wherever division is, something caused it, and it's sin, and then the judgment causes the division as a punishment. And that's why Israel scatters all over the nations, and it is to this day. Spiritual Israel's all over. But the 12 tribes being separated, starting to, the teaching of what's going on is applied to the harlot church world now, to those that hate the commandments, don't want to have anything to do with them, which is to hate our Messiah and hate the Father, the Creator himself, because Messiah lived every word. I mean, that's what he fulfilled. Father, through him, give power to fulfill the law, keep it, live it, learn it, live it. And if someone wants life, keep the commandments. They keep them better, more understanding, more life. It's already with the understanding that someone needs to believe first for that command, if you will, like we read, if you want life, keep the commandments. That's like for his people to know that, because everyone else is going to hate it. For the heart to keep it, the real things in the heart. You can't tell that to an unbeliever, it's just going to kill them more. We'll command them to do one little thing, and then they do it, and then it's like they'll take pride, and they'll be self-righteous even more, and point fingers at all those who don't keep the carnal thing. It can't be like that. You can't tell some unbeliever, and say someone that's not even religious, keep the laws and commandments, wicked. How? They don't even believe in him at all. Why would they want to do that? They would never. Nobody does without knowing him. Nobody wants to do what's right without knowing him. So, but the harlot's no different. The many called Israel, the many and perishing in the desert on the way. You can't do that with them either, because an unbeliever is an unbeliever. Carnal is carnal. What someone holds on to for religion or not doesn't matter. Is what does their heart believe? Do they really believe in the Creator or not? And are they carnal or are they not? Are they alive in Messiah, growing spiritual, or are they carnal still, not believing at all? Two, light and dark, good and evil, wide gate, narrow. The two only, two things: the Creator and the enemy. So then someone either knows Messiah, the Father, and is growing, or they don't know him and don't believe yet. And those that do know him, some older, some younger, spiritually anyways, but what they have in common is that they are of the body, believing him for real, the heart. And those that don't, what they have in common is that they don't believe yet in the heart at all. Some in more sin, some in like less destruction, and some in Messiah longer, some shorter, as far as how long they believe. Evidence of knowing the Father is, there is no word for it. They just will know themselves. The Father makes them know. And then they can see that they're learning new things and doing it and putting off old things, sins, starting to go away. That's evidence. But not that by itself. The Father just says, he just tells, like we read. He says to a believer, one Spirit, speaking to his people, that they're sons, believers. The Messiah is called Son of Elohim, Son of the Creator, because the Father's doing the works in him, the Spirit in him. And that's how he's a son, not flesh. Flesh, he's Mary and Joseph's son. Flesh, he's from the seed of David. Flesh, he's the offspring of brood of Judah, the offspring of David. That's flesh, natural. His natural birth, like everyone else. Just like Moses was born. And then he got away in like a basket, and Messiah was carried away also because the devil's trying to kill him as a baby. Yes. That's all the enemy has ever been doing, is seeking out the elect viciously. That's why, but he's protected by the Father himself. Where he hides cannot be seen by the enemy, cannot be touched when he determines to do it. Doesn't matter what anyone says. Doesn't matter how, 300 pounds full of muscle, strong man flexing. Father spits in that eye and he falls. He's like nothing compared to the Creator. If he hides his people, the enemy won't be able to see, to touch, destroy. But Moses had that escape, as a type of Messiah, which is, amazing that these realities exist like that, flowing together, sort of a similar path. Well, that's the point, because Moses is a type of Messiah, a mediator, raised up by the Father, the Creator. But Moses didn't say, I'm good today, and he called on the Creator and says, I'm saved, I believe. It never happened. No, on the contrary, the Creator called Moses. And now he starts learning, and he's given the divine law from the Creator. The righteous law, which is like dusty, foreign, and stupid, and old, and retarded. That's how like we see it first. It's how the world still sees it. Like they're not seeing anything, man. It's never going to be able to say in words what understanding that the Father gives. Perceiving something like with the spiritual eyes just can't be put into words, it seems like. How do you do that? You see the same thing with your eyes or hear with the ears, and yet see nothing. And then you start seeing, and you say you start seeing things, but you're not physically seeing anything different. Those words were always there. The letters were always there. So it's bad advice. It's pretty stupid to tell someone to read the Bible 10,000 times until they become a Smurf. You know, that's slavery, man. That's because it's telling the person that they can do it themselves and to lean on their own understanding. If you read a lot, you'll know a lot. You'll understand because you did it. No, no, and that takes a lot of work too. It takes a lot of work to lie to people every day and make money doing it. It takes a lot of sweat and effort to hide all the contradictions all day long, you know, and then someone gets angry and wants more pay. You know, we've probably seen that before. That happens often. But even if it's not open like that, that doesn't mean anything for the heart. What's the heart doing? But even, you know, people are made blind so they don't realize what they're doing is so stupid. And so you want $60,000 now. You know, they get taken over by this lust and temptation to make money and become somebody, and they use his word for that purpose. False prophets do that. You know, those that don't know him, they're excited. Yes, they're excited about something, just not truth, just for themselves. That's it. Um, and I wish people wouldn't fill up with wrath, you know, when they hear a little bit of truth. But you're there to attack and kill them like everyone else. So they can only put what they are still onto his people. Seeing something different, not doing that, is like unbelievable. That can't be true. What is that? I've never seen that before. What is that? Light or something? Call it evil and destroy it. It's not good. But the person doing that is not even comprehending why it's really doing that. You know, they really know not what they need to know. They know something about, you know, attacking, doing, but it's like the blinding is so strong though. The judgment's so strong. They'll do it again. They'll forget. Try to make you love money because they're seeing it's going away for real in the heart, and you don't have to do anything. It just has to be real in someone's heart, and they'll sense something, and they'll know something, a little something, you know. And the enemy then sends people to try to get you back into loving money somehow, and get back into the slavery and bondage of Egypt. When you're coming out of it, he wants you back in. So people will do this to his people. The devil sends out a flood, but the earth helps the, you know, woman, spiritual Israel, which is the Father helping really. But and the earth swallows up the flood. It doesn't do what the devil wants it to do, which is utterly destroy his people. Just not able to do that. The earth swallows it up. He tries again, and the earth moves and swallows it up. Devil tries again, boom, and boom, there it is. It swallows it up again. But that's going to be a reality. That's going to be people coming at you trying to destroy you constantly. And it gets tiring. Oh, it gets tiring. It's crazy. But the enemy knew something about Messiah because, you know, fled as, I don't know how old, but young, real young. Well, 2 or under, I think. But see, the enemy's coming after the elect. He's the example of the enemy coming out. He's the perfect example for everything afterwards for believers. That's what happens to them. Not on day one, boom. That's what will start happening and going to completion for that to them. They'll seek him out, seek to kill and destroy, seek and destroy. To seek is like to find out, search desperately. Instead of seeking the Creator, seeking to destroy his people. So people are seeking to do that. And they'll do it from far away too, just like, what is that? That's a monstrous hatred, man. The enemy's hatred. To seek out someone, child, some distance away. But look, no matter what the world can do, they couldn't get him. This is the very thing that this world's not believing. They just don't know, and the church world doesn't believe in his power. There's a real power that they have to see, that he protects them right through the enemy they march through. They should have died a long time ago. Wolves should have ate them a long time ago. Hungry wolves should have ate that sheep easily, because the sheep doesn't defend itself. It just gets torn up. And somehow it still lives, stopping the mouth of the lion. Daniel should have got tore up by the beast, but he didn't. It's a miracle. It's a literal miracle, but spiritually speaking, as the primary understanding, perceiving that that's the spiritual war, that's what the seeking out to destroy is. Although that's not to exclude literally killing someone, but that's not the understanding by itself, is literally killing someone. It's of the heart. But it could lead to that, and it has. We even read the martyrs, Messiah's first example of being killed by his own people. You don't realize what happened. All of Jerusalem hated the Messiah, save those that were given to the Messiah disciples. Everyone else could not love him. And I mean no one. Zero. Except those of Messiah also wouldn't kill each other, seek out to destroy, desperately try to find sin on someone so that they can prove the Creator doesn't exist. How could Messiah's people do that to each other? How could the hand cut off the foot and say it's worthless, and then the foot cuts off the hand and says it's worthless? It's one in that way, spiritually one with the Father, Messiah, his people one. Hidden in Messiah in the secret place, in the heavenly places, hidden from the enemy, from this world that doesn't know him. They will not spiritually perceive or believe someone's a believer, because they can't. If someone understood this in the church world, what they say about spreading the gospel, their gospel, is utter contradiction and nonsense. If they understood this, they would see how impossible it is what they're saying. Nobody knows. They won't believe. They'll walk away. They'll run away. They won't do anything different than whatever the Father's word already says that we need to get the meaning of. But it won't break his word. No one will break it in that kind of way. In someone's heart, they will not see that Messiah being the example always. In their hearts, they did not believe he was from the Father, meaning a true believer, Spirit of the Father in him. Pharisees did not believe that at any point. They wanted to kill him. Because he's a believer, they want to kill him, because he's proof, he's exposing them. Just by being around is enough, but then saying some words, now it's real bad. Showing them that all they do is for selfish, prideful gain, seeking self-glory or seeking the Father's will. If not that, then seeking self-glory. That's it. Everyone's doing one of those two things in religion, you know. Well, everyone's doing one thing in the harlot still, but it's one of those two things. And they didn't see Moses' body. Whatever the Father hides, the devils can't find. Can't find the body of Moses. No matter how hard anyone tries, people, the enemy himself, and then all the people can't find him. Because whatever the Father hides, no one can find. You know, they can't trick the Creator. Isn't that something? Isn't that prove something that no matter how hard, no matter how long, cannot find what he hides? That means man can't do something. That's not good. So do they believe this understanding about the body being hidden? Body of Moses, the body of Messiah hidden? How could they believe that when it's the very thing they teach against, you know, that man could do free will anything? There's nothing that he can't do, put his mind to. And so that's, you know, when I was already, he was already showing me proof of that already, but then the teaching finally came, the scripture finally came. Like, wait, that's what that means. Those words aren't there for nothing. Hidden in Messiah, and then the body of Moses being the natural thing. They couldn't physically see his body with their eyes, so they can't spiritually see Messiah's body with their no spiritual eyes yet. That's why you can't see. This has a reality to it. This means that parents, brothers, sisters, and what we read plainly, Messiah's brothers didn't believe in him. They didn't, meaning, you know, that exactly that. They did not see him as a believer. They didn't accept that he's from, that the Father's in him doing the works. They couldn't accept that he's receiving anything at all and knows him. So his brothers, his own family doesn't believe him in that kind of way. Doesn't believe that he's a believer, son of Elohim, as the example first, perfect example. So anyone in Messiah also can't be believed on in this world in this way, spiritual eyes. In their mind and heart, they will never say, you're a believer that knows the Creator. That's what I'm trying to say with the hiding of the body of Moses and the hiding. In their mind and heart, there's a reality to being hidden. You know, it's not just words, there's a reality to be seen. In their mind and heart who don't know the Father is no belief at all in anybody that's in Messiah. And I'm talking about the whole world that doesn't know him. Because darkness comprehends not the light. Light came into the world and darkness didn't comprehend it. Like we read, Messiah was the light of the world because of the Father in him. And as long as he was in the world, he's the light of the world. And he says, you know, let your light shine. So he's not supposed to be the only light forever. He's supposed to be all those that believe after him, be lights. They're like the stars in the sky, lights. Daniel even shining forth in the kingdom, lights. Starting now, those that know him, they'll be lights. And so the devil will see, enemies will see something about this light, and they won't like it. They'll attack. They'll never believe anyone that's a light in this world is an actual believer, a light. Isn't that crazy? Who believes this? They're not going to, how could they believe this? The many. It's not on their mind that most of them didn't make it to the promised land. It's not bothering them. It's not concerning them. It's not blaming them. It's just not, it truly not on someone's mind that doesn't know him. Just like we read, none of his thoughts are on the Creator, speaking of the unrighteous, the wicked. None of his thoughts. Psalm 10, I think, and not the only place. None of his thoughts are the Creator's, and the Creator and all his truth, not in any of the thoughts. Yeah, just like for every believer first, before they believe, not on our mind. Zero. It's crazy transformation of the mind and heart. Um, be transformed just on the world, money, riches, status, toys, things we're going to do in the future concerning those worldly things. Lust, all the sins, wicked heart, jealous, insecure, wanting to be worshipped, wanting people to beg, needing to be needed in an insecure baby way, which is not good forever. It's got to grow out of it. So people will start seeing real heart things if it's real, because no one can fake real. They'll sense something about not needing to be needed, and they'll take offense to that. Secretly in the heart, everyone already knows something about needing to be needed. So it's like, okay, we're all in slavery together, go along with the program. And someone's that's getting out of prison, out of Egypt, they want you to go back in. Pharaoh and the Egyptians, the world wants you to go back in. The kings of this world hate this people. Pharaoh hates it. It's not just about Pharaoh. It's all of the kings of the earth that don't know him, and all of this dark world, which is Egypt spiritually. And Jerusalem is called Sodom, and spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Revelation says that, spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Carnal Jerusalem, no different than the beast. It was carnal. It rejected Messiah. Natural, carnal. The heart, still no change. Evil works in the heart, evil intentions. For every intention it does, it's got some false evil intention. Yeah, there's a lot to undo, that's for sure. From Egypt, there's a lot to undo from Egypt. That is coming out of it. But the war is spiritual, it's internal. Not that there's nothing to do with external, but I mean, it's in the heart. It's being attacked with other people's intentions, heart murderous, and you start seeing it without a cause. That's going to happen because it happened to Messiah without a cause. All he has to do is say his judgments exist, and they're ready to tear their shirt and blaspheme and say he's a blasphemer, kill him. You heard it. You heard it said. He said there's judgment. He said Jerusalem's going to get judged, come down. Blasphemer. What's the church world going to say if we're saying it's people, whoever they know they're going to be seeing it. Destruction's coming. Harlot's going to get eaten up by the beast. I mean, spiritually, it's always been destroyed. Come in the spirit, John, and show you her judgment. But we're talking about there's an end, though, a destruction at the very end. Well, like every nation at the end, there's a destruction, and they won't believe. They'll laugh, We could watch it happen before their eyes, and they still won't believe. Though someone's raised from the dead, they won't believe. That's that partial hardening continuing, like the apostle's talking about. Saying this would last for quite a long time. There would be a hardening, a blinding, until a certain point, until the end. It's like nothing, no one will do, once the Father doesn't drag them in, there's nothing in the world that will make them believe, because someone did something with their own power or words by itself. if the Father doesn't call them to be chosen and grab them, drag them in. It's not to say there won't be a believer here and there because of what someone says for truth that they're given to speak. It's just that for those that are blinded like that, the teaching, it's a hard, please tell your other people there. It's torment over here. Warn them. Oh, you had Moses, listen to him first, because it takes to at least understand that his commandments exist before we believe in this. It's not possible to forever hate the commandments and they don't even exist at all. And how could someone know Messiah then if that's the case forever? So Moses wrote about him, like he said, how will you believe in me if you don't believe in Moses in that kind of way? It's the foundation. The commandments are the foundation. Without the foundation, there is no going to the heavenly thing. There is no good works in the heart without foundation. That's the foundation that's laid in Messiah, which is connected to all the Father's commandments too. Connected. And I appreciate the simplicity, but it still blows my mind because of whatever is seen. Like I think Proverbs where somewhere knowledge is easy to him who's given, or understanding is easy, when it's given. It's easy to him who understands, because when the Father gives something, it's not complicated. It's easy in that way to understand. It's simple. To do it, well, that's a whole other thing. That's like, that requires the power of the Creator to get us to do it. But the teaching is simple. So the contradictions are simple too. They get clearer and clearer. But coming from Egypt, we don't have any power sight yet the way we need to, so people will captivate and you'll get sucked in. I've gotten sucked in many different things, like starting to believe something that's a lie and then get pulled back out of it. Start getting to believe something that's a lie again, get pulled back out of it. They're dangerous false prophets. There's some kind of spell they're casting through the devil somehow. It's not really them themselves, but there's like a power. And I'm only thinking I'm starting to see just a little bit of what I need to see later, because I've seen things where I shouldn't have forgotten or done this or that, and I did. And it just, and I think that's how he shows something new is, well, it won't be able to do it right. Then you see it again, and so you could see what it is. Then you start asking for, stop letting this happen constantly, whatever it is. Getting like a spell or something on you. I know that sounds probably weird, but like a spiritual plague or power that the magicians send over, and it just kind of tries to catch you. It's weird. I don't know how to put it in words, but I'm thinking just perceiving a little bit of it where I think it works sometimes and it gets you, like, even if it's just a little bit or for a little while, and then you remember. Discerning between that and like the Father just sending a judgment or something, a little hard for me to see right now, but they need to see something clearer. But the magicians do have some kind of power because of the enemy, given to the enemy also to have. But all things are from the Father. He's in control of all the power. But to say there's no power in the darkness at all, like zero, I can confidently say that's a lie. It's not true. There is a power. There is a seducing kind of power that, I don't know, like, to seduce, to make you forget something, to confuse you. And they have their rods doing some plagues and stuff, but then the Father, through Moses, overcomes their plagues as if it's nothing. But there was a power there, of which, without the Father, that power will get everyone. It'll suck everyone in, and it does. All marvel and wonder after the beast that don't, have him, their mark of the beast. All those that have mark, spiritual mark. Cain is marked, and I believe, it's interesting because right in Genesis we could see some of his judgments with Cain, and they mean something, and they're real. It's not that enemies don't kill each other, that happens. I mean, that's happening, but there's some kind of protection, there's some kind of recognition from one enemy to another. There's something to it where someone looks at Cain and he says, don't kill the guy that killed someone. He's marked like us. But if someone does, it's a greater judgment, much greater, for the guy that killed the guy that killed someone. And whoever kills the guy that killed the guy that killed the guy that killed someone, it's even greater because he's accepting it. He is not accepting murder. Therefore, the judgment increases to the one that kills a murderer. This is not Dexter, where you can go and just kill the bad guys. The Father doesn't accept this at all. And the way he doesn't accept this is by making the judgment stronger on the person that kills the Cain that killed Abel. See? And then we actually read someone killed someone, and he says something about 7 times lament. What's the name in Genesis? Lamech. And it's a greater judgment. And it started to make sense. Started to show like why wars go crazy all of a sudden. It makes sense. These judgments are true because the person that messes with the person that messed someone, the wrath is like 7-fold. And if somebody messes with that guy, you can imagine why a war starts. And then it just till the judgment cools down and everyone kills each other, But if it's not murder, it's not quite as heavy. If it's a fist fight, well, then the guy that punches the guy that punched someone, it's a greater judgment to the guy that wants to beat up and ruin the face of the guy that ruined the other face. And then someone else comes in, and then you got a dog pile of people trying to beat each other up. How come they never could stop? What do they do in the movies? Well, someone might be a little bit like, I don't know, showing this through someone being a little slow. And one of his problems is like always wanting to get sucked into a fight. There's a fight nearby, and people are fighting, and he's going, putting his hand on his, don't fight, and then he just goes and starts beating the crap out of the other people just because the fight exists. What is this thing? How come no one's questioning what this really is? I mean, I know this world you could find someone talking about it, but I mean, they're not seeing what's going on. These people are, asking for money to help people. That's not going to fix them. But it all has a purpose, But I think, he's shown me a little bit of something on that and why it goes crazy like that. But what the carnal man won't understand is, how is that not accepting murder when the judgment stronger for someone killing someone that killed someone causes more rage and more murder? How is that not accepting murder? Someone might ask. Well, I mean, that's pretty hard to put into words. That's something that needs to be perceived. The Creator is getting his judgments fulfilled somehow, some way, through sin. And that I'm not going to even try to pretend, because it's massive, it's unexplainable. In that, yeah, to learn something about his judgments, very important, but to try to figure them all out in this world, I mean, no way. I mean, stupid to even think someone should try. And that's why we read his judgments are past finding out. And that's why the apostle is saying certain words there, like, the power, the perfect judgments, severity. There's so many judgments going on everywhere. How could someone even begin to comprehend it? To try to figure out the source, why each little detail, each little sin, and then as a city, and then as a nation, and then as a world, and one nation versus another, one city versus another, problem over here at the gas station, my goodness. I don't think that's what's going on in the church world's mind, It's good to know, though. That's how he doesn't accept it. But wrath is the punishment. More sin is the punishment for sin. See, he separates the darkness further into darkness. You want more sin? I'll give you, fill it up with sin. See, you want more? Fill it up with more. Until someone's like filled up with sin and destroyed and hardened. But he hands him over to the lust, to the sin, to complete them. This is what this means is someone literally can't stop. They can't stop their sin. Hands them over to their perversions. This applies for everyone. He's not partial. If someone wants to play a game with them and go commit adultery, like literally fill it up, okay. I'm not sure that person will ever come back. I'm not sure that person will ever see him again in this life if they do that. But we're just saying, no partiality. But it's not out of a carnal thing. It's just only to, if anything, make them ask the Creator, fear Him, and that's it. So that it's on their mind, so they don't do something so massive. Not commanding them out of their own power, but saying if it does happen like that, if someone in Messiah, which I know it sounds crazy, went and literally murdered someone, they wouldn't be what's the word, acquitted or whatever. They would be judged without partiality. That's all I'm saying. If someone in Messiah did that and murdered for real, like literally killed someone, it wouldn't be, oh, you're my people, no big deal. No, zero partiality. So someone relies on his favor, they start seeing why they need his favor so bad. That's the answer, not make someone afraid so that they get real puffed up, prideful, and self-righteous and go, you know what, I'm a good person after all. Anyone that does that, oh, they're this condemned, and then I don't do this thing. See, someone could get tricked and deceived so quickly going down that bottomless pit like that. It's not good. His favor is the answer. Believing in Messiah is the answer. Because he's going to do the work. He's going to protect us. And if someone does some kind of sin, that's the purpose of seeing something that they need to learn and then cutting it off a little bit and then cutting it off more. More and more and more. So there's going to be examples of, like, I guess everything. Someone can think of it, there's examples of that specific judgment. It just has to be. It just is. He's showing it. He's showing. But it's like called judgment, but like chastising judgment for his people instead of just constant punishment and wrath, no life, not under his favor. Someone sins and then, more judgment, and then they sin more. And as their life goes, get harder and harder. And the sin in the heart, it's like waxing worse and worse, harder and harder, more and more stubborn. So the answer is not to command someone that doesn't believe and say, do these 2 or 3 things and then you'll be a good person. We're talking about real things. Father won't, if they don't have his spirit, they don't see him, they don't know him, they don't have life. It's not going to give them life by obeying some carnal command that someone's trying to control someone, command them like that. That won't do it. Only one way. That's it. Father's way, like believing in Messiah, free gift that he gives, hoping that the Creator gets someone to believe. That's what. Tell them the truth. Tell them the good news. And then afterwards, we can't do anything as far as making someone believe by saying believe and then they do. How come they can't see that? They say the right words sometimes about something like this. Don't they realize what it really means, though? That man can't do the works, the power. He's no good. Don't they see that? They don't. Sometimes it seems like unreal that the Father's teaching is whatever he's shown me. It just seems unreal. Like, man, well, that's what knowing him is more day by day. From not knowing him and having a backwards heart and mind constantly, and then it's reversing, dying while living, cutting off while living. So then, what was I going to say? Yeah, just how bad it is. It's hard to believe still. It's hard to believe that, I mean, anyone in Christianity that doesn't know the Father, they're traveling land and sea to make one convert. And when he's converted, they make him twice the son of Gehenna fire as themselves. Messiah's words, straight to the leaders and teachers of Jerusalem. Religious, saying they believed in the creator of the book, the creator of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Saying that. And Messiah goes right to them and says, but you don't know him, and your father's the devil, and his works you will do. I don't have to imagine what that is, Although I could say the words like, man, can someone imagine that? Well, his people don't have to imagine that anymore. They'll start seeing the reality of it. But just like that, no one believed him. So they won't believe you. They didn't love him. They won't love you. They hated me. They'll hate you. That's what he told his disciples. So that he tells us. They can't love you. It's there. You just know. Just know. Anyone that doesn't have the Father cannot love his people. It's not even possible. Just cannot. But see, other people, don't have that understanding, and that's not on their mind. But they're proving all day long when they play these games and do evil and try to put sin on you on purpose so they can condemn you, so that it excuses their own sin for not believing, excuse themselves. Somehow, when the people do that, they don't see anything. They don't see that as evil somehow. They won't want to. If someone does something on purpose, they they believe in their mind they got away with it and you're stupid, and you know what happened. If you were to come back and say something about that, like, you gonna do right? Or why did you do this? Is this gonna be this? All of a sudden there's like fear and shock. And they shake and they start moving quickly, and then they put something on you. Oh, you made me forget. It's always your fault. You did this, you did that. And then they walk away like, real quickly, shut the window, whatever. Yes, of course, it's always our fault. It's never someone else. It's never our own fault. It's always someone else's. That's what's going on with the carnal mind. It cannot accept it does anything evil in the heart. It's never wrong in the heart. It's never spotted for its evil works in the heart by others. So when it is, it's in disbelief. But they think they got you. They think they tricked you. They'll do it again, thinking they can't see, the attacks. And it's easy to see when the Father shows us. It's not hard to see when we're healed from this blinding. To see these things, start seeing them. Not difficult. You see what they're doing, the intention of the heart. That's why we read it quite a few times. Messiah perceived their thoughts and what they want to do. But even when an enemy points a finger at another, it's sort of carnally revealing something, but they can't see that they themselves do the thing that they point, and the Creator's never on their mind. It's true, not the commandment's not on their mind. So everyone's just condemning and pointing at each other, and the whole world is blind like that, killing each other. But something he showed me more recently is like the reality of the nations, the Gentiles, like he tells his people, Israel, don't be tempted. You're going to be tempted. That don't follow after the lust of, or the worshiping of the creation like all the nations do. Don't do what they do. Oh, what did they do then? What did Israel do? Worship the creation, sun, moon, stars, pagan things, and ideas connected to it. There's a spiritual worship of the creation, and it's like everywhere. You can't see it until you start seeing it. You start showing it that it's always been there. That don't know. But it's like it's secret. It's like you can't see it until he gives you the secret things, which is everything, all his word. The understanding is hidden, secret, in the hiding place, in the dark, secret place, hidden like that from this world. Starts giving you to see, and then you start seeing some of it. And it's true, isn't it? Don't they speak highly of the beautiful ocean and mountains and everything, getting a nice place by nice everything? How come they don't acknowledge the creator of this world? I'm not saying it's wrong to say some of these words, but only out of a heart that's like worshiping the creation in this kind of way. Like it's, what does it read? It's like, what's the words? Like when seduced, like your mouth is open, your eyes are just sort of staring. That's like how the words are in scripture there that the nations do. They're like dazzled, amazed. What's the word? By the sun, moon, and stars. Don't be careful not to let that happen. We read that for us. They look at it in like kind of this spiritual amazement, wonder. It's like the same kind of spiritual seduction for wondering and marveling after the beast, but it's like worshiping creation like that. But idols in the heart, other gods in the heart, self is God. Just because someone breaks a physical idol and gets it out of their place doesn't mean they don't have, because that's not the real meaning of idol. Although there's a connection in that it takes to break it in the heart in order to have like an idol, But that's not the understanding. You don't have to have a physical idol right in front of you or somewhere nearby to have it in the heart. That's what needs to be destroyed. And they'll just say it outright. This person's my idol. Well, it doesn't sound evil, does it? Not to the carnal mind. That's the problem. This world doesn't agree with what sin is. It's not going to be evil for them. Can't even expect it to be evil for them. How could it? It's not to them. Whatever he says don't do, it's like people are doing. Whatever he says do, they're not doing. But at the end, it's like real bad. The rebellion's strong. Oh, it's way more than reading the letters. Don't have any idols. Yeah, what's it mean? And how and when am I doing it? What if you don't know what it means and when you're doing it? How do you repent for it? Oh, that's no such thing to a carnal man. What do you mean I don't know? What are you, blind? I know everything. That's the scary part, going in that direction. No, they don't, because he reveals what they are, and when you do things, he'll show you these things, and then clearer or deeper, and then you see you did that too. Still are needing to be cut off more still. So what is an idol? Well, there is no, okay, a statue. Yeah, that would be true. But what does it mean? What's an idol? For each one to know from the Father what it is, what's their idol. Could be anything. It's in the heart, attached, worshiping like that. And it's not above the Creator. It's like the Creator's not in the heart. So above. The idol is at the top. The Creator's at the bottom. But it's supposed to be the other way around. The Father at the top, all someone's strength, soul, mind, those are powerful words. Way, way up there. And then in contrast, for people, way, way down here, and not loving the carnal man. When this reality starts happening, when the Creator is doing this, and they're starting to keep this commandment that the Creator is above all and it's in the heart, it will be perceived to some degree, and it'll look like you're hating people. They'll think you're murdering them because you're going away. You're going closer to the Creator, and they're being separated further. So they'll perceive it as murder because you're going away in the heart from them, from needing to be needed the same way as everyone. That starts going away, it'll be perceived. People will beg you to say thank you. The strangest thing I've seen so many times. Say, okay, all good. Okay, yeah, you're welcome. They look at you and thank you. Thank you. Did you hear me? Thank you. Like, why is that happening? Why is that happening? They heard it the first time. How many times does someone need to say you're welcome, or okay, no problem? Something is going on there. What they're perceiving is you're not buying their fake garbage. They're not thank you. It's not real. So they can sense something real and they don't like it. And there's more to it than that. So it's like not believing. But you don't have to think or do anything. It's just already a change in the heart that the Father does. When he does it, changes it. You don't have to try to do anything. That's like sin or something. Let me do this to get a reaction like this. Yeah, that's what sin is. Yeah, let me work the crowd. Right, then you got false intention. You're doing that only to work the crowd. That means everything that someone says is built around for a reaction to work the crowd. Therefore, what they say means nothing. It's not true, obviously. It's got false intentions, which is a wicked heart. doing things secretly for self. All along, it's always been that way. All along, it's always been. When people give gifts, false intentions, plural, all kinds of things going on there. Eve doesn't want to give Adam a gift out of the goodness of her heart. She wants to bury him in sin. And then man just goes, okay. And then he can't do anything. Time to move to another state or country. Man goes, okay, you know. And then he makes up stories to try to match and tell the guys why, yeah, you know, this place just doesn't want to pay me anymore. I'm worth more as cheap, skanky place, you know. Oh, don't tell anyone. You're only doing that just because the woman wants to go and you have no say. So you got to make it look like that's not true because that's pretty weak looking, isn't it? And don't tell anyone does that. It's fine. There's no condemnation. Why can't we speak about whatever is true, though? The world just doesn't like that, does it? And then so many other things attached like that you start seeing. It's tricky like that. Yeah, everyone's playing games with each other like that. And so when they sense that you're not, it has to be real, though. You can't fake real. When the heart is changed in something, they sense you're not doing this. That's why they want you to beg. You know, that's what they've seen. They want you to like. You're screwed if you do and you don't. You just say okay. They don't like it. If you go, oh, I thank you, I really appreciate it, kind of like what they want to be. If you do that, it will be genuine, and they won't like that either when it's genuine like that. I'm saying if you know the Creator has gotten someone this far, changing the heart this much. If it's genuine, screwed. If it's just a simple okay, screwed. You know, what do they want? Nothing satisfies them. Maybe that's why we read. Nothing satisfies the eyes of man. You know, his eyes are never satisfied. What, just money? A little deeper than that. A little deeper. How about everything? He's never satisfied. How about everything? For everything. Now, that doesn't look like it's true. It doesn't mean anything. There's no confidence until you start getting satisfied. Then you'll start seeing the contrast of that scripture being true, that the eyes of man are not satisfied. You know, that's when you start seeing that it's not. Is when someone is starting to do something right. You start seeing the wrong thing between the two, good and evil. The good way of doing everything and the evil way of doing everything. Like right in Genesis. Good, evil. So what people will do quickly in this world to watch out for is they're not believing there's a righteous way of doing something. So they'll condemn that right way, just like all the other ways that they already are perceiving or know about doing themselves. They'll just say it's evil. You know, but somehow the dark way is not evil. There's always the two things, and so often they look similar. 5 foolish virgins, 5 wise virgins. And they're very similar looking. That's the point. Both called virgins, both dressed up the same. Yeah, but what's going on inside? One has oil and one doesn't. Big difference. One's dead and one's alive. One wants to rob and steal the Father's Spirit, try to destroy your life. That is the Spirit, His life, eternal life of Father Messiah in us. They need oil because they're hungry and thirsty and they don't want to go to Him. They want to take it from you. This is like the hungry wolf taking it from you, eating, destroying. They could get it from the Father. How come they don't want to do His way? Not supposed to steal it from someone. Want to steal it, you know. Play games, trickery, act nice so you could get close, so you could take it. And what do they say? We won't have enough for ourselves at night. will just barely have enough to get through. Go into the marketplace and buy some. A little bit of mockery, judgment right back at what someone believes, so they receive the same back. You believe and love merchandise and buying and selling. You believe his word can be bought and sold. So go then and buy the spirit at the marketplace. See if you can, go buy the oil for the lamp at the marketplace. Oh, it's deep. There's a mockery, a righteous mockery going on there as a judgment, because it's not right. It's the evil way. Stealing, killing, robbing temples, right? The temple is the person, and the spirit of the Father is in the temple. So when we read they rob, do you rob temples? Yeah, do you try to rob someone's life, which is to murder them with the heart? That's what he's asking. Not physical temples. Yeah, that would be stealing. Go steal the money basket while someone's giving a bunch of money, steal the money basket and run. Yeah, that would be evil. That would be stealing. That'd be a wicked heart. It takes a robbery heart to go and do that. No one can steal without stealing in their heart first. But there's deeper, the spiritual, which is always true. It applies to everywhere, all the time, for everyone. Someone robbed temples. How does someone rob temple? You just lie to them. If someone's not careful about lying to someone, they're robbing them. They're lying, they're murdering, they're stealing, spiritually. All the law is connected. They're breaking it like that. They're not realizing, that is the teaching. They look alike so often. So they have to sort of act like what they think Holy Spirit is, what set apart Spirit is, and they're doing the best they can with what they're doing through a deception still. But their best is like foolishness, because the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Creator. He made it foolishness. That's not good. Someone would be tempted. But see, then when he gives us life, we have life, and it flows with the teaching of not robbing. And when someone has life, they don't even need to rob, but not that that would be the only reason. As, oh, I don't need to, therefore, if I needed to, I would. I'm not saying that, but they don't need to, nevertheless. And they know where to get his truth from the Father himself, get his spirit from himself, life from the Father Messiah, instead of going to the store and do you got set apart spirit here, willing to pay a good price? No, Father hates that. It's one of the bigger abominations, I believe, is selling his word and acting as if it's merchandise, his truth. And it's a big one, because that's not who the Father is. Everything he's doing is giving. Even all the enemies, everything they have has been given to them. And that he gave life to everyone. So he's a giver, freely giving. To not freely give, that's a sin. And someone just, for the life of them, can't freely give it. It's a wonder maybe they haven't gotten anything from the Father yet. That's why they charge for it. If they did, they would know something about it. My goodness, Messiah would be telling them, don't do that. And they would have life. They would know who he is and where his life comes from above. But with selfish ambitions, there is no above. There's no Father. So I'm going to be God in right now, and the leader of some religion, and it's going to point back to me. and I save people and I make money. What's their intention, man? What's the intention of the guy behind the pulpit on Sunday? That's the question. What is the true secret intentions of the heart? Why does it do what it does? Anybody? That's what needs to be starting to be perceived. Because if it's some other intention, I mean, oh, it's deep sin. But the world won't see that as deep sin. The more someone learns, the more they start hating what evil really is, and then they start seeing it as evil and nasty. But that's not what we'll see right in the beginning. Because he's giving a heart, that's heartless, don't care. Oh, lie, big deal. Cheat, big deal. Screw someone, big deal. He does it, they do it. He knows I do it. I know he does it. We're all in sort of a quiet, secret agreement here. And that's why there's like wars of whoever's the best and nicest. Sometimes like it's a war of who can thank someone the most or give someone the money or repay them the most. There's a problem there. There's a big problem there because of that spiritual wickedness. Because somewhere inside the person without the Father does certain work, and that's all they do. And the other person that doesn't believe also does the same kind of works in the heart. So when one does something, it's saying, oh yeah, he's doing it for that reason. The only reason they do things for, that's how they know about it, not because of discernment from above. It's because they do it. That's how they know about something. And the other person's thinking the exact same thing. He's only doing it for the reason because I do all this all day long. He must be also. And then there's a war of who can, I don't know who's the most holiest. It happens like in the church world sometimes. Who's more holy, but that could come in all kinds of forms. Everything is fraudulent and bad. It's no good. It's strange, especially the thank you, but I'm seeing why it's happening. They're exposed as only saying that for some other intention with no thanks at all. So then they need to do what? Convince the person that they're thankful. Thank you. I'm just saying there's a cause and a reason for everything. It's being, when someone's being exposed, they're desperate to hide what's being exposed. If, and all kinds of things are being exposed, but not knowing. Evil hearts constantly, not knowing anything, no understanding. So then they need to show you how much they understand, like right in front of you. They need to start putting on you that you're stupid. They throw that on you to make them look wise instantly. Oh, that doesn't count though. That's not sin. That was already sin. That's already evil. That's intentionally doing evil with the heart now. And then it compares like that and then teaches you something. Yep, he still needs me. I'm still smart and he's not. It walks away like that. It's just unbelievable. If you were to say something and go, why did you do this with the heart? They will be shocked every single time and will not be able to admit it. In the beginning, starting to see a little bit, like, wait a second, slowly coming out of this carnality, a question arises in my mind some time back. Can I actually stop this or that, or this sin or that sin? No, that's fine. And then it comes back again. It can't actually be that I can't stop. I could just choose the day. I just don't want to yet. I'll do it tomorrow. No, too late. Until time goes by and you go, wait, it can't be that I actually, a little deeper, a little, but But that's what's going on in the carnal mind 24/7. And it's getting harder and harder to remember what it is. I'm telling the truth. It's getting harder and harder to remember, to perceive it how it was. Seeing the teaching, why things are doing, the Father giving that, but for myself to put myself back into it is pretty difficult now. And then more time passes by, and the question again comes, wait a second, it can't be. I don't think so, but maybe I just can't actually stop. Could it be? No, yeah, right. And it keeps going like that until the Father proves it, that you can't. And if someone does, it's because he allowed it to be. And so the problem, the nasty thing that's so hard to deal with, is the Father gives people so often what they want to believe a lie. So then there's going to be many examples where, you could see the truth in that. And then there's going to be many examples where people did the other thing, and it looks like they chose that. And the people that chose that will point to the ones that didn't escape such and such and say, you're wicked, you're evil, you're losers. How come you didn't do what I do? But deep down inside, somewhere they know that's not the truth. Somewhere in there, way down deep, it's deep down there. And they're going to point the finger to hide that that's actually what they are, and then condemn them so that they have nothing to do with that trash, that wicked human being, garbage piece of crap. I would never do such a thing. No mercy, no compassion at all, zero. So the Father gets people like that with different kinds of things, where he allows someone to maybe stop drinking, and they're not a believer, just of the world, but they for some reason, stop drinking. And maybe a believer's out there still going through some kind of war. It, it exists out there with his people. Not forever, can't be a drunk forever. But I'm just giving an example. It's like, what's going on there? How come that guy seemingly just chose, and then someone else is still struggling with this carnal thing? That's what he's been showing me. I still think, there's way more to see that I don't see. Not think, I know there's more. But who would believe this? How do you explain this? It's like nonsense to try to explain it to someone in the world that doesn't believe at all. Nothing registers at all. Nothing computes. Even the simple words and simplicity given, it still doesn't. And that's what shocks me. The church world, explaining a little bit of the commandments, asking some questions to bring things out, and then they say right to your face, what are you talking about? She doesn't even understand what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Like, what? What do you mean? How do you not understand? This is simple to me, clear. And it's not to those that haven't seen. But it's not the words, though. It's the actual understanding in the heart. That's what they're going. What are you talking about? You could use the word spiritual and try to explain what the understanding someone is seeing on any spiritual thing, commandment, what it means, how it works for our heart and what to do. And you would think that just because you said the words, they would understand and perceive. And it's not so. So it's unfortunate, but that is what the enemy's done. The Father more than allowed it, purposed it, where everything is muddied, makes his truth look trash. It'll just be, oh, he's another one of those people. They wiped it out. The devil took the truth and became it. And it's like a nasty thing to sort of have to bear constantly, that they're doing that with his word. and that they know they got the power in the numbers, even though there is no such thing. But in a delusion, power in the numbers. They know they can count on many siding with them. And a little child stubbornly does that, knowing it's doing evil, and does it anyway. And uses that for proof, which is to skip the Creator completely. What does that have to do with the Father, His truth, and what it is, and what someone sees? What's that have to do with numbers? Nothing. What someone thinks is strong, to the Father, it's like a drop in the bucket. Oh, this nation's not so strong. It could fall in one day. But it's got a big army, you know. So that gives it false security that she'll never fall. Oh no, she'll never see death, plagues, and mourning. It's getting a little scary because I see more signs of famine. Nothing too major right now, but I'm seeing it. It's like a little bit here, a little there, all different places. Because that's all I do is food delivery, give people food. Right now, that's what I'm doing. I don't know what I'll be doing in the future at all. No clue. Just waiting. Seems to me it's just a matter of time before it needs to go away, and then on to the next, whatever it is, out of the world a little more. But they won't believe it, will they, in the heart? People believe it. They don't, it's easy for me to see now, but when someone doesn't see anything, that they're not seeing anything. The Father's judgment, His power, and how it's showing how He works in His people, and then in judgments, and His power, and how He could just do what He pleases for a judgment, make someone fearful and they're fearful, make someone dreadful and they're dreadful. Someone could see then how easily it would be to complete a judgment on a country with the greatest troops. It don't matter. He can make them fall just by snapping his finger. It doesn't matter. In fact, that's what he does. That's what we read. Everything the world thinks he's like proving the opposite. Oh, big army, wipe them out with 300. I don't care. What seems impossible is like nothing. It's not impossible for the Creator. No fear in their eyes. And then, that whole judgment thing where one guy kills another, and and something goes and when someone's in heavy sin like that, the blinding is incredibly stronger also. And that's how our nation can fall so quickly, because it becomes utterly stupid and blind, like tenfold, hundredfold than it already was. But now that it's doing some real evil, it's also got really, really blind. And now it would be quite easy for the enemy to come and destroy, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Then they try to explain these things in the history books through somewhat natural. What do they explain it with? They try their best to explain it from man's understanding and perspective. Coming out of this world, it's like that's all going away, and I know it wasn't like that. It's like a little more next year, a little more. But in the beginning, you question and doubt what you don't know yet. It's question and doubt, and you start believing more and more. The Creator is, and the whole world's backwards as it could be. And He tricks them, tricks the world, because they trick people. Judgment. Yeah, it's deeper about the Creator is doing things right now, right here, and that, you know, and someone that's born wasn't some just robotic, system working on its own. They would deny the thing that's mostly true, the only true thing, that's what they would want to stay away from the most. What would that be? That the Creator maybe creates the little newborn in real time as they say he doesn't exist, right, while they're saying that, you know, but they'll try to explain it through some other way. Oh, why do all these bad things happen? Because of sin, world. Because, yes, that's what you can read all day long. Complications, sin, death, disease, spiritual disease, spiritual blinding and destruction. But yeah, even all these other things, the curse, you know, that's why it's messed up. That's why it's death. How come they don't ask themselves why they sin so much instead of saying, why is it all this evil everywhere? Maybe because sin is everywhere. Have they ever considered that if it wasn't, he would bless, people? Although, carnal blessings is not our understanding. But even so, it wouldn't be like this. It would be, even natural things with order and not death everywhere, disease everywhere. It's like Alzheimer's is like the natural understanding of a spiritual memory for loss. That's like what happens every time someone does evil, is that they can't remember in the moment what on earth they're doing and what stupidity they're doing. So what does the world do to try to hide his judgment? Only 10% of your brain works when you get angry. Is there some kind of truth to this? Yeah, in a weird, twisted way, there is. Is it the truth? No, that's Satan's truth. That's the devil's truth. There's something true about it where they got the explanation. No, no, no. No, it's not a brain problem. It's a sin problem for sure, and it's a judgment. He makes people forget, and they get very, very stupid. Yes, everyone that does evil. And the more evil, it's like the more stupid he makes them because he doesn't accept evil. So when the evil is done, there's no reality to it. Utterly blind and stupid. That's like the strongest way he can show that he rejects and doesn't accept sin is by utter delusion, utter blinding, utter deception. I mean, how else? What kind of other way is that? How else would he show it? There's no free will there. If someone sins with their heart, something's already happening for a judgment. You can't stop his judgment. So the greatest gift that the golden calf ever gave was free will, I guess. Yeah, but there's no reality to it as far as, doing whatever we want. If they only understood just a little bit on his judgments, how could they say that? Right? How could someone say that? If something comes on someone for doing something, every single time there's some kind of judgment, how is that free will? You know, it should be able to do whatever it wants with no restraints, with no delusion, no judgments, no punishment. No, it can't do whatever it wants. That's all backwards, though. Their freedom is slavery, and you know, Egypt slavery, calling it free, 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 everything free, and it's slavery. They call his way slavery, slavery, slavery. And it's free, being free from sin. And I've even heard it said, someone said something about Messiah's death I don't know, some song about something. Like uh, someone said it's like self-righteous suicide or something. It is sick. Yes, to the perverts, all things are perverted. Of course, it would say the only thing that's like no stronger, no greater love, no greater selflessness, they would call self-righteous suicide. Sick people, evil people. That's what everyone's got in their heart. Don't tell anyone that doesn't know the Father. Yeah, it's a self-righteous suicide. So what's the truth then for them? The exact opposite thing. The wicked thing is good, you know. Um, Selfish and alive in the beast, that's selflessness, being alive in the beast. But so it is, that's the darkness speaking. They put on truth, the exact opposite thing, call it evil, just because they can't perceive selfless anything and have never done selfless act in their whole life. So then they'll say, yeah, that was some selfish, extremely selfish, wicked thing. Unbelievable. People will try to trick people with their words all day long. Can't believe the words, can't test the words only. The Father tests the heart. What's he need us to do then? Prove and test all things, test the heart, test the spirits. Because the words ain't going to prove anything by itself. Just can't do it. It won't do it. They honor me with their lips all day long, but their heart's far from me. That's what we read. Yeah, but that's no good. Honoring with the lips, but the heart's gone. There's no heart. That's the only thing that means anything. It's the only thing alive. The only thing that's pumping life. And they no heart, no life. Forget the words then. Forget the lips then. It's shallow. It's worthless. Or knowledge, saying a lot of right words or something, and then there's no love. It's just worthless. Making noise, like this noisy world. It's just noise. Just making noise. Just attracting people through noise. Noise like echoes out and people hear it and they go, what's that noise? Just fart can, loud race car, making lots of noise, needing lots of attention. Yeah, I had a '02 Mustang GT yellow, exhaust and everything, noisy. Finally got rid of it not too long ago, but it sat for, I don't know, a couple of years. Finally got rid of the thing. I can't stand dealing with that kind of stuff. I wish it would just sell itself. Some people found out, and what was their spirit saying? They didn't like it. What on earth is that? Why would someone hate or dislike someone selling their car? Because they don't like what they're discerning. With no discernment. They don't like what they're seeing. They're seeing something and they don't like it. You're going the opposite way, man. What is this? Kill him. Because they can't stop their slavery. And they know it somewhere deep down inside. They can't stop chasing money and more fame and riches and greater things. And all of a sudden they see, bloop, gone. Oh yeah, real pretty, lowered, loud, nasty, quick, gone. And then they hate it. Thought you're supposed to be happy, you know. Thought you're supposed to be happy for someone, care about them. No. You know what the creator can do though is he can get you to be happy with things you never thought you would be. What about that? Yes, he can. how else is he going to get us to go his narrow way? You know, giving up the worldly lust and love for the world in the heart. So when people see any kind of evidence in the heart of something real, they won't like it if they don't know the Father. I mean, they're just going to hate it. They'll try to hide it though. It's like quiet crickets. You're looking like, did someone kill someone just now? It's like crickets. It's strange. But more and more, it's like that hardly even happens anymore. How do you stay one with, people of old? I can't solve it. How do I do that? Well, I just wait on the Creator to do it. They'll just stop inviting you eventually. Yeah, blessed is he who's reviled and excluded for his name's sake. Because they don't know where you went. You're going away. You're dying. Where is that guy? The guy I loved, the guy I was attached to. Love not your parents. Hate them. That's why you read that. And see, they love the old man slipping away from them. So therefore, you're worthless now. You're dying. You're dead to them, just like Messiah is dead to them, just like Moses is dead to the people. So let's go and build our gods now. They can't help what they're going to do being on the other side of things, on not knowing the Father. But I'm just saying, these things start happening. They just happen. Because it's hard. You don't know what to do sometimes. What am I supposed to do? Say, screw you guys, you're sick. You don't know the Creator. Can't ever be near you. No, nothing like that. No, but after a little while, they just won't want to be around you anymore, and because it's just torment. They don't want to see any proof of anything that the Creator's doing good. They don't like the life they see either. It confuses them. You're supposed to be alive in the beast or something. But I'm agreeing a little more and more that the wages of this world aren't so good. They never were. Just hard time and bondage for sin, and make you work harder and harder. So spiritually speaking, kind of like that, you work all day long, the mind and heart. Yeah, literal work too, that it tries to get you to do constantly, busy in that kind of way, and there's no good wages. Not that great wages, but no condemnation for anyone in Messiah, because they can only do whatever they're given to do. They can't come out of the world more than they're capable of at this moment. As long as they're coming out of the world, that's all. 7-year-old can't do what 30-year-old can do. Fathers knows it. He won't give impossibilities to do. That would be stupid. But I would like to say that he keeps having to get his people out of this world more. Whatever that means, that's what he's got to do. And they're supposed to trust the process. And it might just go into some severe things that, people would never ever do, And how do you do that without the want to do it? He'll give you the want to do whatever's required next. I don't know what it leads to next. I have no clue. Yeah, coming out of the world continually, but there's a reality to it. You can't just sit in one spot, like spiritually speaking. It keeps going out of this world. I don't know what that might lead to all the way at the end, but well, that's, someone might like worry. What do I do? What am I supposed to do? And someone's commanding you to do some specific thing. Who told them to do that? Who told them to command that? How do they know that's right? Isn't that proof like that they don't understand what following Messiah means? You're not supposed to know everything ahead. That's what it is. That's what people are afraid of. Right? And that commanding like that would kill someone. It only could hurt them. Because there is no fixed thing to write down and say, this is what his people do. Do this right now. Now that is no good. That's evil. They could see why it is to be perceived. That no, that's to put like a burden on someone. And it's not the commandments. People use that so evilly quickly. The commandments are a heavy burden. No, requiring a bunch of things all at once is a heavy burden, like the Pharisees are doing, not even understanding what they're requiring, that the law is spiritual. They don't even realize how stupid their teachings are yet. When they require them to do this and that and this and that, they also are saying, keep whatever the spiritual meaning, which they don't even have yet. You have to do all these spiritual things also, all at once. But the carnal man doesn't realize that that's what he commands, does he? He doesn't realize that it takes a long time, a lot of, learning and growing what each of these things mean. And then you just tell them, I'll keep them all at once. They don't realize what they're saying. It's not just keep the literal commandments. That's what they think they're saying. They don't realize how the Father works. And that for one thing, someone could understand a little bit, and then they understand a little bit more. It's just deeper. And the Pharisees are going, boom, keep it all. Do what we say all at once. It's actually hilarious, because once you start perceiving what the Father's doing, giving understanding, then you start seeing the monstrous thing about it. But what's the difficulty? Seeing that they don't see what the spiritual law, like any of it, means yet. Seeing that they don't see what they're really saying is the frustrating thing. If you never try to explain it and tell them, they would just say, no, we're not. And that's it. It's over. Okay, no, you're not. Let it be according to their word then. They just, yeah, don't lie. Oh, yeah, you got to keep all the commandments. Don't lie. Yeah, do you know? Like, do they know what lying is and how much people lie? They have no clue. Still finding out all the time how often, lies happen. You start figuring these things out and caring about the finest detail. Yeah, just don't lie anymore. They don't know what they're saying. It takes a lot of refining to stop lying and start figuring out what it is for real. It's deeper than just not telling the truth. Oh, this ball's black instead of orange. I lied. It's way deeper than that. There's like the carnal understanding of lying, and then there's the spiritual things that start. Which those lies don't matter to people that don't know him. And obviously, anyone like teaching lies, teaching monstrous things, creator dark and evil, that's what their doctrine really means. That's what they really are saying the creator is. Um, that's a lie. I can't lie. All they need the creator to get them to see truth and see what a lie and blinding is. Otherwise, they can't overcome lying. Kind of need to trust him for that. Someone would say, how do you know? How does someone know? You don't unless you know. That's it. You don't unless the Father is showing someone for themselves. Can't do anything more. Isn't it obvious then how the world works? Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with hearing his voice, what lies are, and just listening. That's it. But it's like out of sort of knowledge doctrine it has in that says, listen to me, this is what this is, and everybody's fighting against each other, contradicting, confusion. It's not fun seeing it. Where are the people? It's not fun seeing, the same thing over and over for hating truth. There might not, there might not be a whole lot more offensive. Well, then the creator himself, but his judgments, it's like something really bad about that. Something people really don't like about that. Well, there's too much connected to it. His power, his wisdom, his utter sovereignty. That's why man would want to hear about it. They sort of just casually throw that word around like, well, judgment, hell in the future, or, but there's like no actual belief. Where's the actual belief and understanding like right now, that you can't do whatever you want? It's amazing to me. Can't believe what the world says. Yeah, no one knows until they know something. You can't see the trick until he starts showing you. So it's like, how much more do I not see with the tricks mankind does and their sorcery and their sort of lies and explanations for everything? I have an aching feeling it's way worse than whatever I see now, and it's already pretty bad as it is. It grows, and the destruction grows. So the more he shows you truth, the more life he gives you, the more destruction grows. That's perceived. Maybe that's why Revelation's true for everyone in Messiah that believes. Maybe that's why it's always true, is because the Father is working in his people and what they see increases, and then the destruction increases. But that's not, see, it's not as if it's not true or not happening, or as if the world's going to be destroyed, or it's none of that. It's perceiving the things unfold in the middle of your life because he's showing you more. It's perceiving a little bit of the earth burned up and destroyed, and then more until it's all burned up and destroyed. But it always was. It's not going like that literally. It's already spiritual destruction and unbelief. It's already in darkness already, always was, but it looks like what I read in Revelation starts looking like that, starts seeing that deeper because of blinding. You don't see people's destruction until you start getting more understanding in life, and then you see a little bit of destruction, a little bit of darkness in people, confusion, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, in that direction. It gets really bad. It gets unbelievable. Because when does it stop? How bad is it? Because whatever someone cannot see now, they cannot see right now. You know, they don't teach this out there in the harlot houses. There's no such thing like this. But he's already proved it to me that that's how it's been going. He's already proved it. There's nothing more to prove. He's already done it. That means there's things that I literally cannot see that I'll see differently, see more later then. It's just weird. Oh, that's a strong blinding delusion then that everyone was in. A believer could have walked by before any of his people believed, before I did, someone else, another believer for like 15, 20 years, I don't know. And we would have persecuted him and murdered the crap out of him in the heart. And he's going, wow, blind people, they hate me again, killing me again. Doesn't see anything. The words are bouncing off of him. And he walks away. And that was like the only light in the world would probably ever see. You know, I'm just saying, if it happened like that, it's a little scary. Try thinking of the reverse thing going backwards. But none of this would make any sense for someone that sees nothing still right now. You know, you could see how it just can't make any sense. Can't understand. Someone's still utterly blind. None of this is for them to perceive, because they have to start seeing in order to start seeing all these other things, darkness. Yeah, we would have done the same thing. Would have said that some prideful prick, some wicked person would put darkness on him. That the only thing we know back then, and put darkness on that person, and then they, you know, go away, and that's it. And blinded into thinking we did, like, oh yeah, we're right. I'm right. I'm good. I'm right. You know, and the other person seeing how severely blind and delusional and stupid. But when we think at the moment smart and good, well, that's what I read in Daniel earlier today. They get furious when you don't want to bow down to the image of the beast in Daniel. The king gets furious, like I read. Why does the king get furious? Because it's connected to himself. Because it's selfish. It's all about self. It doesn't know anything. It's its own personal choices and beliefs in its mind. To not believe in its God and gods makes someone furious, because it's exposing them. It's not seeing anything or knowing. They'll take it personal like that because they chose. And there's no belief or confidence in someone that believes in a golden calf. There can't be, because that God never did anything for them. Dead. No power. Can't see, walk, or hear. Either the king gets furious, wants to hurt, wants to kill. It still boggles my mind every day that without the Father in us, there is no such thing as love. It would never existed. It's just that badly blind. The devil has no love. It's not love, it's a trick. And so then everything is cold and dead and selfish. just for saying a few words on a text once, some random thing that happened. Question was asked, are you real? Like, what is this? That's exactly what it feels like. And they asked the right question. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. Like you don't even exist in this world. They asked, are you real? From a text. From a text. It should have never happened like that, the way other things happen. It's like boggling my mind, and it's funny to some degree. Are you real? No, that was my answer. I'm not real. I don't exist. I tried to tell the person. No, as people don't exist. You never know when someone tests you, though. But they want to see if you hate them. I'm not saying every person, like specific, but there'll be tests like that. See if you hate them. They want you to hate them in one way, and then they don't. Kind of want to see something real. And when they see it real, it's like they're disappointed. But if they didn't see real, then they want to attack back because you're just another evil guy like everyone else, and then, seek vengeance back. And then if the love is real, it still wants to do evil. But many do, but you never know when they might believe though. Whatever someone judges, maybe they could try to remember those words. Seems like a good idea. Whatever someone says in their mind, someone else is, quickly ask themselves if they're that. Like that's what starts getting on the mind. Hypocrisy, like being real careful. Why did I say that? Is it because I'm that? You check yourself. That's what a little bit more to show, to judge self first if you can see something. And if not, then be judged. But it would be beneficial to judge self first quickly so you can instantly correct it, make it go away by correcting it, repenting of it, not making it go away without real correction, repentance. Only through that way. Quickly judge it is no good. So then the tests aren't going to be carnal tests. They're going to be tests that make your heart put it to the limit, stretch it out real good, see what you're going to do with the heart. That's the kind of test. Are you going to rage and foam at the mouth? Everyone that's been a believer, all the disciples, anyone afterwards, that's exactly what they have to find out that they are. It's not some secret to be kept forever. And the really nice thing is after some time, you don't have to try on certain things. You just be as your heart is that the Creator has gotten to up to that point. You could say things if it's with the right intention, with no condemnation, and you know it for yourself. Once something's clear enough. But everyone else, watch out though, so you can't do that. Said something a day out of a little bit of frustration. because Panda inside they go backwards, and now the mask is required again inside the place, but it wasn't for a little while. Like, this thing's not going to go away, is it? No, it's not going to go away. They get a sense of gloom and doom to some degree. And people are just utterly blind, and they're just protecting evil, but nothing you can do. And you can't just go, boom, change it. That's what I'm saying. Of course not. Just sort of said it real loudly in there. I'm like, everyone should know it's not getting better. You ready for it to get way, way worse? And someone said a little ahead of me, waiting for their food, it's not their fault. You know why they said that? To protect their whatever they believe in their heart, because they didn't like the truth that they heard, that it's not going to get better, that this thing is severe control. It's just going to get worse and worse. It's punishment. And vaccines aren't going to do jack anything when the Father's determined to do judgment. They won't be able to stop it with a needle, nonsense. But for someone who believes in him, he should be the needle for them, I would say, if their faith is strong enough. Stay away from that stuff. Whoever really believes in him, he's not going to, if someone, whatever, we can believe whatever happens is part of his will, because it is. And he created the heavens and earth. He can more protect us from some whatever is going on out there, whatever they're saying. He can protect us from that until he doesn't protect us at some point, or at some point something happens. At some point the apostle, it's the end of the race. But until then, he can protect us. It's not going to be, I know the world won't agree with this. Why would it? Oh, that person died. My bad. I couldn't do anything. If he was a little bit more careful and wore his mask a little more often, my saint wouldn't have died. It's nonsense. But this applies to those that have the Father, his power and faith, though, because it would be careful to say that those that don't, none of this applies. You never know what their end is or what happens to them. Prayers are not answered, confusion and delusion, it just, none of his truth applies to someone that doesn't believe. He's not working in them, it would seem obvious when we say that, but to anyone who doesn't believe, he's not in them. There's no power in them. They're not changing. They can't have that same confidence. They can't have that protection. They need it. They got the mark on their head. That's their protection. See his people without whoever doesn't have a mark is removing it. That's, they need protection, because everyone that has a mark would like to take their life, try to spiritually destroy them. The more they shine, the more this happens. When it's very dim, it's not much of a threat. When it gets brighter, it's more of a threat. It's exposing more. How it works. The bigger the light, the more darkness it exposes. The more people will hate you. Strange thing. But I'm not worried about no vaccine. If the Creator wants me to die from some thing, then so be it. But that's not how I believe. I've got to the point I'm not worried about it at all. And that's the real way it should be. He's the sustainer, the creator. He's not just watching you randomly fade away, and he's the one in charge, control. Some disease or some needle isn't tricking him, he already knows that. But if someone does want to do that, so be it then. I'm just speaking for myself, whatever I see. I don't see any good in it, what they're doing out there. But everyone's quick to protect evil. It sounds like they care for those people there, which wasn't the intention. But see how quickly they make you look evil by saying something. They do all kinds of things. They just know how to do evil right away. This is the evil we need to stop doing. When they say it's not their fault, they're not in charge. I never said it was, lady, but you can't tell them that anymore. It's just enough, you know. It's over already. Because if you go further, it'll just get louder and louder. God never loses, never forget it. Then they'll drag you down with them spiritually and you'll start sinning. They imply something and throw it on you that that's what you implied. And then it looks like they care about the other people by saying it's not their fault. All of this is with crooked intentions to look good, to make it look like they care for someone, which they don't at all, zero, no heart at all for random people they're getting food from, they don't care. And then to try to bury truth and protect its own beliefs. What is this belief? Well, that it's getting worse. Yes, no one wants to hear that. And so they instantly will say something that makes you look evil with that intention and makes them look good to cover and hide their belief and bury truth. What they'll do instantly, people, anybody that doesn't know the Father, willing and ready to do that at all times. Yes, truly there is no fellowship with light and dark. There's real value, reality, and meaning to it. It's not just something to be said. It doesn't exist for real. There is no fellowship with light and dark. To try to do it and get deep into it, the Father will show, you know, and that's what has to happen so often in the beginning of something. It's showing you what the wrong way looks like. Did you like it? What did you think? You know. So then you stop doing that, and then you don't go through breaking it, which is no good. Start figuring it out because he shows. Yeah, there's a reason. Doesn't mean you can't talk to people, but there's no fellowship. See, that you can't talk about anything real or true for any given amount of time. It's going to be instant rejection and enmity every single time. Nasty. It's insecure. It's pathetic, but it tries to look strong. You know, the Creator is not insecure and pathetic, so he makes his people in his image. That's what it is, to be in his image. Devil's a coward, insecure, weak. Strong or weak, you're insecure. It's just what someone is already, that's all. See, they can't even hear that though. You're doing some evil just by speaking whatever you've been given to see. That's important to see. No. And that his people were that first too fully. They somehow skip that part. Somehow act like you don't actually genuinely believe you are that first, because the false prophets don't believe that when they say talk like that. They only do that to make it look like they're not prideful. They did that all the time in the church world I got brought up. I always wondered why they talked like that when it never seemed genuine, where they include themselves real quick, you know. But there is a right way of doing this. It's just discouraging. It's going to be discouraging for people because the two things kind of look the same so often. That's what's nasty about it. It's nasty in that it makes his perfect way look like trash. Not for real, but in this world, you know. It's like, oh, it's just considered done right next to the evil thing. And people are offended when you actually believe you're no good and you are all these things first. They'll be offended to hear it. But see, this is where you can't fake real that he's taught me, made it concrete. Cannot fake real. Someone says one thing, if it's not real, it ain't real. But if it's real, that's the Father's works changing someone's heart. And when they speak, it's out of belief and power and truth, and it's real. Someone will see that it's something about whatever they're speaking is real and be offended because it is real. Israel. Israel. That's it. Is real. Yeah, I like that. Israel is real. It's not fake. Um, this world's fake and plastic. Spiritual is real, not carnal. Spiritual is real, and carnal is fake. The city of is fake. Babylon is fake. It's sad seeing nobody caring out here in this world. It is nice to see proof, though, that the Father's word is true, but man, you have to pay for it too. Right on the other side of it, you have to pay for seeing proof, more and more proof, more and more confidence. You have to see something else nasty right along with it, experience it more and more too. After so much pressure, someone is being melted in the furnace and it's changing them, from all that pressure and testing. It never was like that before. Someone might ask, how is he going to do it? What is this fire? What is this judgment? What is this testing? He could do it in all kinds of different ways because they're things of the heart. For those that are prepared a path, there's a path for that testing. For those that are not actually on that path, there is no path for that yet, for that testing. So sadly, many people speak, and what about the judgment? What are they going through it? Do they really know anything about it? A devil sent to them like on the daily or what? The only way someone can get tested is to be hated without a cause a lot. More and more it increases. Not too much in the beginning though, because we don't know it. It would be too much. A little bit more, a little bit more. Then the Father tricks you, lets you get tricked, pulls you back out, shows you that you could easily get tricked again and get angry. And someone tricks you, and it's like their plague or whatever worked, and you get angry, and you just keep this back and forth battle until it's like the beast is smitten and it gives up, just forget it. Don't try. That's the truth. Rest from the works. Don't try out of self-power to be good. But I think I know why the burden's on the back, though. The stake is on the back and it's pretty heavy, is because you could say the words to someone that doesn't know the Father and it doesn't do anything for them. And those are the right words that have meaning that you can see of resting from your works, not trying to be good. They don't know what to do. What do you do? What do you mean? all I do is do my own works and try how do you not try? See, it would just confuse someone. What do you mean don't try? So like, well, I just won't do anything then, and they might mock it and say, well, then how am I going to do this or that? If I don't do anything, then don't try. You're not perceiving it though. And that's the sad thing. And I can't do anything about it. It's because something's dying while the old man's dying while the new man is a living. It's that new man deep in there inside, the spirit of the Father doing the works that they can't perceive, they don't have, so that it's not able to see. And then the only way the old man can stop doing works is if the new man, new woman, it's just what I read, the spirit of the Father in us is the new man, that new woman, his spirit, his life. That's without him, it's only us. To stop working is like to die and do nothing literally. But when he gives us understanding and someone dies in Messiah, that beast is dying. That's the old man. It stops doing works and the Father's doing works. You perceive something. You can start seeing what couldn't be seen, before. You can rest from your works and it makes sense. While the Father, you start seeing what that is. Yeah, it doesn't sound right with words, does it? Doesn't really bring it out. And it has to be real. It just can't be perceived. There is no faking real. But even then, it takes a while to figure out what's his works and what's not. We don't know the perfect will right away. It takes time. And he's not going to do it any other way than what's written already. He won't contradict that. So he won't make someone, boom, giant tree, and day 3 won't happen. So that's frustrating. That takes patience. Yeah, it's simple. He's doing the works. He needs to do the works. And we rest from our works. And we can't grow any faster than a little plant could grow. Can't make it go faster just because we say so with words, It can't just do that. What does all that mean? Because all these things are true. Grace is a license for sin now. Now we could sin more to fill up grace more, increase sin so that grace increases. No. Oh, then what then, says the carnal man. What then? No, by no means. On the contrary, we establish the law. Yeah, on the flip side of that, on the opposite side of that, instead of sin and going, let's sin more, we establish the law through his favor. That's the purpose in our heart, established. Keep it. With the right understanding, you can say, and would say, like we read, the law is no good if you break the law. The law is only good if you keep the law. The natural, the spiritual. But not murdering someone's only good if we're not murdering people in our heart. If not murdering, that law is only good if we keep the law, the spiritual law. If we don't, what is it then? That is what sin is. That's what the Father's looking at. In times past, he winked at that, but he's looking at that. That's all he's looking at. We murder in our heart every single day and never overcome it. That's death. That is what sin is. So then there's no value to not murdering someone literally. I mean, sure, it would be a severe judgment if someone did, but it's not doing anything. We're not filling up the wall. We're not keeping it. We're lying to people. We're robbing from them. Yeah, but if we have lies from like our own definition and some carnal thing and making up our own things, and never stop lying and teaching lies and giving lies for self gain or whatever someone's doing, it's no good then. And so it is for the rest of them. This was supposed to be like, well, it wasn't supposed to be anything. I just thought it might be 15 minutes long or something, 20. It never seems to work out. You know what a good example would be of testing the creator in a bad way? Well, there could be any kind of example. Is knowing something already that he's shown you, I suppose, even if it's just a little bit of understanding, and then breaking it on purpose just to see what he would do, right? Oh, that's a pretty big sin though, because it's like doing it on purpose to test. What is it going to do? He won't do anything. Someone might be tempted. I suppose in this world, the temptation to make money for everything is like super strong. Might be stronger for others, weaker for that some others. I don't know, but in this world, it's bad. But for his people, I couldn't say. Maybe that's something he needs to overcome in us for sure. I don't think it lasts too long. I think his people learn to hate that pretty quickly. I would think and hope it's pretty close to the same for pretty quickly for most of them. And what's the people's excuses they always do? I never could, never doesn't even make sense. It's a spell. Oh, I got bricks, man. I need to I need to get a better microphone, better camera. It's already like 1080. It's already good. It sounds good already. These people that doing this out there. What are they spending their money on anyways? I bet people wouldn't want to know. They wouldn't want to even know. Oh, it's a nasty spirit, man. Yeah, Messiah was going around with money bags, filling up and loading up for the gospel of the kingdom. And so were his disciples, right? Just collecting the dough. That's why they did everything they did. Nasty. Messiah asked them, "Are you lacking anything?" They said no. Well, the Father's not going to get someone to lack to severity and then just they fall apart because of that, and then they're destroyed because of that. He's going to sustain them. There is people to get through. However he will, however he does it, but it's a promise. At least have what you need, basics. Every time money's involved, the intention of the heart should be questioned like immediately. But I mean, even without money though. Yeah, even without it. But like it's obvious when money's around. What is the intention of the heart doing? What's the cause? What's the reason? What's the moving? What's the pull? What's the draw? What's the intention to do what they do? Anybody for anything. There's some horribly funny, blinding things out there, man, on just YouTube comments alone. It's a disaster. That's all like worthless stuff too, bickering over worthless stuff. That's what the carnal man tries to put on you, worthlessness. Try to make a huge deal about, like, I don't know, a windshield wiper 1 inch to the left or right, something dumb like that. I don't know. Just all kinds of dumb things. Were you going 57 or 55, It's unbelievable. I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. I was going on the way back down the road while doing a delivery coming back from like a further straight stretch, and I was going like 55 or 60, somewhere in between there. Motorcycle guy's passing me, shaking his head like as if I did some kind of evil. Didn't do anything. And I ended up, I already knew where I was going to go. I had a delivery to do at some little store, pick up something for a delivery. And he was going the same. I had this feeling he was going to, sure enough, I was following him, and I mean, in quite a good ways. Make a right, go straight for a while, make a left, go straight while, go right. Finally, right before I got there, he finally pulled over in the middle lane and stopped. And then I slowly pass him by, and he's angry, just puffed up, prideful, insecure people, man. They're not tough. That's why they do that. And then I park, I get out. The guy follows me now. He's following me now, because he thinks I'm following him. He thinks that I do what he does all day long. It can't be that you do anything else, never perceiving it, right? So they just put on you what they do. They made a judgment. You follow him. You're doing some kind of evil. You're screwing God. You can never screw God. You deserve hell. Go to hell, you bastard. I'll kill you. Slit your throat. Don't touch my kids. Don't mess with me. Don't turn around my corner this fast. So then he gets off his bike, and, he's looking at me, starts saying some things. And it was just a weird experience. Like, it was like too perfect. Yeah, people do all kinds of stuff like that. They start raging, just start assuming things and putting evil on you just because you follow them. And it wasn't true. It wasn't happening for what the guy is thinking. It just happened to be going the same direction. And that's where I got the 55, whatever, he was saying, trying to accuse me of something. I'm like, how fast are you going? I was like 55, 60. Yeah, okay, tell your boss that. I was like, okay, well, just like bickering about, worthlessness. How on earth could you talk anything about real when it's like bickering about, like, you know, 55, 60, following someone for a little ways? Someone's always out to get them. But if when they hear that the devil's out to get you, oh, it's an abomination, right? All of a sudden it can't be true. Well, it's not going to be believed, it won't be believed in this world. All day long, the scriptures teach that they chase his people and try to destroy them, I mean, this is not some new teaching or something. Genesis to Revelation. Has everyone heard of it? The world tries to chase and kill his people. That's why they need his protection. So they'll make fun of you if you were to ever say anything at all about it, mock you, say it's a lie, because everyone else is lying. Therefore, you are too. no discernment. And that's why we read, spiritual man judges all things, discerning all things because he needs to. The carnal's not judging between good and evil or discerning anything. So spiritual man judges all things, but he himself is judged by no one. And that darkness can't judge actual light. Darkness can't go to the Father and say, blind, stupid, deceived, darkness. There's no darkness in light. So when it tries to judge something good, if it's a good work, and darkness comes up and hates it, it judges it as evil every time. It can't judge it righteously, ever. And I'm going insane. I'm going insane because I could see no one cares in this world. No one. They're not seeing it. They don't care. They don't believe it. They defend it. All the proof is being sent to his people. All the proof in the world, they know. But if you were trying to tell it to some random person, some unbeliever, anybody, the church world, they will not accept it or believe it. Anything. And I've tried it already, and I think I've mentioned it before. Trying to tell your family or somebody no, they're against you, man. They side with the enemy and say that you must be doing evil. Yes, they do. They did it already. And it's sick when that happens because you know what your heart did. You know for yourself. It's part of what being the blinding lifted is, when we do something right and there's no condemnation, there's no judgment for evil. But they just step on it as if it's some casual evil you do all the time, because they talk of themselves and have no clue what they're talking about. They need to pretend to be tough. They don't actually know anything. And that's an abomination to the carnal man, but he doesn't know anything. Zero concerning the Father's things and truth. No confidence at all. Zero. And deep down inside, everyone knows, whether they know something or not, but they won't, that admitting it, yeah, right. But somewhere deep down inside, they know if it's carnal, if someone's carnal, and they do not know. So they're always speaking out of not knowing, which is like a lie. Judging falsely, accusing falsely. But we convince ourselves that something must be true. And then the reason why it gets strong is because the judgment is to get us to believe a lie. Looking back, going back. We don't want to see any evidence for being wrong about anything. It just already is. It just already is like that. The heart's already messed up. So it starts getting strange with teaching, sort of the church world's doctrine and thing. You start to go away from talking like that at all. But in the beginning, yeah, it's more about doctrine, teaching, which is like the foundation building up, but then that's where people stay. It's just about words. And then I find out it's not. What on earth was that? That it's not about that, although it is important to believe truth. But people are just talking about that and talking about what the heart is doing, what the works are, what the commandments, mean for us. And you can't speak like that in how it was before, because it's not like that. It's not like some religious doctrine, I mean, good teaching is good, but it's not the way that the world perceives it as the teaching. It's just seen completely different through clarity and light, with reality, with meaning, to live, and that's what I see that's just not there. What does it have to do with reality? Too bad there's a dark world. And we get taught it doesn't mean much of anything until it starts happening, where we read about it, hating for good works, hating without a cause, and for good works, and for doing good. Enemies don't get to experience that at all. They don't do good works. Now, when good works are done, which are the Father's works, and then it's persecuted and hating for doing good to someone, they have no clue what tribulation is. You know, when the intentions of the heart are actually changing and they're real, and it's not what they keep accusing, but they'll just throw it as evil all day long, every time, everywhere, every second, every detail, every little thing that's real in the heart, that's secret. It cannot be admitted for evil. And everything that's good is evil to this world. You know, that's monstrous. That's the monstrous thing, is for actually doing good, and it's persecuted as evil. But it's better to be persecuted for good than for evil, like we read. You know, better that, obviously, than, you know, doing evil and then like going into prison or caught for doing evil, you know, but for good works of the heart. There's nothing kind of scarier sometimes, or funnier even sometimes, than someone that like openly rejects the commandments as even existing in there. But then they'll like read scripture, you know, talking about whatever they're going to talk about, hell, torture forever, and actually read the scripture where Messiah says, don't think that I came to, you know, destroy the law, not one jot or tittle, not one little bit be removed from it until all is accomplished. Don't even think I came to do it, but came to fulfill. They're reading that with zero understanding of what it means, because I remember having zero understanding too. It's darkness. It cannot comprehend. And it's so simple. What on earth is it doing over there reading that out of loud pride and like boldness, you know? And then the next minute it's saying, you know, it's protecting lawlessness. It's confusion over there. They don't have a right to talk about adultery or murder or stealing, you know, they really don't. Whoever nails the law to the stake, why are they even mentioning adultery? You should be freed from the law, you know, and go sin as much as you want. Wait a second. The heart's already doing that. You don't have to tell them. You don't have to tell yourself or anyone. The heart is desperately wicked. It already is desperately wanting to do that. Carnal man, natural man, is not subject to the law of Elohim. Neither can it be. That's a big one. The natural or carnal man just cannot accept. He's not subject to it. Man, if they knew what that meant, say goodbye to all their doctrines and their free will delusions. If whoever is fatherless is a carnal person still, which means they're not subject to his law, they're going to hate it. in the heart, what it really means, and that's the only thing I'm experiencing. That's that is the lawlessness in the heart, the hatred, the secret sins, the attacks, the wolves, the 5 fake virgins trying to steal, kill, and destroy. Yeah, that's the lawlessness. That's the lawlessness we're supposed to be overcoming. That's the lawlessness Messiah, he overcame the world. And if the Father did it in one man already, perfectly like that, it wouldn't be so hard for him to do it for anyone else, would it? But he already went through it. What a confused world, whipping him, putting thorns on him, beating him. For what? For loving them, for telling them truth, for just being sincere, for being from above, from the Father, his Spirit. Oh yeah, murder him, torture him. Sad, man. And nobody was there that understood him. No one. Zero. Oh, he knows what it's like. Because the disciples didn't understand anything yet, and he knew it. He knew it. It's just like you can start perceiving someone that doesn't understand anything yet. And it's like, nobody can see or understand around you except those that are given. But he didn't have anyone around him because the Spirit wasn't poured out yet on anyone else. So the disciples were still carnal. They were being led up to being believed. But everyone else, they had no clue what he was talking about. But they always will act like they do. I got living water, and if you drink of it, you'll never thirst again. You'll never die like that, thirst again, if you drink it. Oh, let me grab a bucket. And then she needs to help Messiah. At least Jacob had a well. Here, here's a bucket. I'll give you a head start. Looks like I need to help you because I'm God. And you don't know what you're talking about, but I do. Oh, it's backwards, lady. It's backwards, guys. Carnal. Whoever carnal is. Can they perceive that from the story there that happened? That's what they always will do to you. They can help you when they need help. We already know that we need help every day, but they're rejecting all of it. So they need to help you. You need help, and they don't need any help. Pride, smoking with pride, pretending they don't need help. Strong or weak, weak or strong. She didn't know what he was talking about. It takes to have the Father in them to know it. These spiritual words. No clue what this water is, can't perceive it. You can't perceive what's not real yet. Can't perceive life or filling up of something that's always been dead and never alive. You can't, no one can do that. So she's lying. It's okay, she's lying. She didn't know any better. She's just lying, doing what people always do, lie. Yes, I understand. Why? Because of pride, because you can't say I don't understand. She grabbed a bucket, she didn't understand. Or asked for it, I think. And said something about Jacob having a well, like he was better off than Messiah. At least he had a well. That's what the natural man is, man, doesn't understand. The disciples acted the same way. Do you now understand? And they said yes. Or they said yes after he asked them, do you understand? And when they say yes, he says, do you now understand? Yeah, he knew they didn't. What's pride say? What's the rebellion? I'll never deny Messiah. What's the judgment for doing something like that with the heart? It's over. You already denied him. It's too late. It's over. Just give it a little time, but it's already over. So the blinding, the judgment, rooster crows and then he remembers. Couldn't remember it any earlier. Why not? Everyone needs to ask themselves that, like I've had to. Yes, why can't someone remember it until after they remember it, until it's too late? So what does he have to do? Well, maybe not be so prideful and go, I'll never deny it because I won't, because I'm strong, I'm God, Maybe a little bit of humbling there and with a little bit of asking the Creator's will to be done on this thing, or else he'll make it happen. Oh, yeah. Whatever sin someone is doing, and they say, I'll just stop. Maybe that's why they can't stop, is because they haven't gotten down to the bottom close enough yet. Maybe they haven't been broken enough yet to where they actually fully agree in their heart that it's not them that's going to do the works, that they can't do it. A lot of patience. Oh, it makes you wait sometime. We're talking about things that are already, I don't like using that word assume, but we're talking about things that already assume and understand other things, his sovereignty, his judgments, some kind of understanding of that. Well, none of these things could be spoken like this with the heart when someone's in a free will delusion in the church world. You can't. How? They're in the rebellion. They do whatever they want in their mind. That's for them then. It's not for his people though. I think all of them said they would be strong or whatever. They wouldn't deny him, right? And look what happened when he goes away. Oh, he died? Where's all their strength? How come they're all melting? The shepherd got smitten and the sheep scattered. Well, that's happening on a grand scale, I guess, but a little smaller scale with the disciples. They didn't know what to do. They like instantly became lost. And they heard too much already to go back, so now they don't know what to do. They're confused. They're lost, scared, until they receive the Spirit, though. Then they would start remembering all the things he told them over time. That's why he told me that. Oh, I lied. Oh, I only said that because of pride, because I couldn't admit this or that. Oh, that's what that means. Oh, this is what that means. Pretty bad. All right, I better get out. I'm not gonna wake up or something if I keep going. I'm seeing why we read a lot in Psalm, especially, but other places, of course, where it's like there's a struggle. Someone's not doing so good, it seems like, because of the judgment, because of like the hot judgment sometimes. Or like it seems like the prayer's not getting answered, or it seems like, I don't know, slipping. sort of like a distress, darkness a little bit, or whatever the thing is. You could read about it all, like, quite a bit. So as people say the same exact things that they read, they'll start saying it. Then it'll make sense. Then it'll mean something. And in 1 second, boom, he could lift someone right back up, even though it's not looking so good. Well, that's what he does a lot, looks like. It just lets you sink a little bit for a while, a lot of pressure, and then boom, back up again. It's like, I guess that's part of the grind out, is doing what's right even when it's tough. You know? So people might, 10,000 wolves around you going and asking a sheep. He gave me this picture because I've seen this thing for a while, that I've spiritually, with this smiling thing. Why don't you smile more? And why people do that. Seen this for a while. And then the picture came way later. 10,000 wolves around you are asking the sheep in the center why it doesn't smile more. That's how bad it is. Dude, yeah. You wouldn't know, wolves. The sheep's going, it's trying to say something, but they don't understand. What are you talking about, stupid sheep? It requires to be blind. And why are they doing that? Why do they ask that? Why do they say that? They want to see something false, something they're hoping for that they're not seeing. And there's other things too. They want to, once again, lift themselves up, make it look like you're in destruction and depression, because they are. So then they need to cover that they are, because light is exposing them that they are, just by being near Father's light, discerning and exposing. And so then they need to put the thing on you and say, to cover themselves, hey, what, you doing all right? Why aren't you smiling more? Or you're just all right. Gloomy day, huh? What's wrong, man? Yeah, I got a little angry. That was a few days back. I don't know that that's the right thing to do every time, or even at all, but that's what I have to ask for, because I don't know all the time about every little thing. But I got frustrated because of how often this happens, and I finally, I said, are you sure you're not talking about yourself? People would never do it. They would never do that. And the guy started laughing hysterically out of a nervous laugh. It just, more proof in the world than ever why they do it, but I don't know that that's the right thing to do all the time like that, because, that's like sort of attacking back a little bit, I think, like trying to, but it's a nasty thing though. It's nasty, but see, that's what the carnal man does. When they put that on you, you try to put something, but it was in truth though. Those were true words, but it doesn't matter what was the intention though. See, I think you just have to take it and just not say anything a lot of times. Just let it be. That's the torturous judgment, is that letting them believe whatever they think in their mind, but you want to correct them. See, you want to make sure that's not what they believe, because you can't let them get away with it. That's what they do all day long. And what I'm finding out is it doesn't matter anyways. It doesn't matter. 10 seconds later, blind, it already believes what it always did. It doesn't matter what you say. So then it starts getting stupid to try to make it sound like, it starts getting stupid to do that. Because of this judgment and blinding, that they'll just be blind a few seconds later, a few minutes later, back to the same thing in the mind and heart. Doesn't matter what you said, they'll forget. So when that happens, what was the point of doing that? What was the value of it? And, probably not good for self. Not good for self if the intention wasn't right. Let it go. But how does someone let it go with their heart? Well, they'll find out it's impossible to do, these things. Talking about real things. They'll need the creator of the heavens and earth to give them power to do it. Because the heart's always been doing something. Now it's time to stop, then that's when someone finds out it's impossible. With man, it's impossible. With the creator, all things are possible. Inside said so. It's impossible. But nothing's impossible with him. That's why it needs cutting off. It's like scissors, cut, cut. Well, then the more it's cut, the less it can do what's wrong. The more it becomes real of doing what's right. Cutting off the heart, the old man. All right. I used to say that word bail out, and then it hit me some time back. I don't know, a few years ago. It's like, yeah, I don't think so anymore. I want Not a coincidence for sure. Every time someone goes to sleep, they bail. Yes, darkness and sleep. But see how it's not about that stupid one little thing. That's what the carnal man will try to make it about. Like they'll bring that to the top and say that's what you're speaking of. And it is, and it's not. To hide the heart thing. They need to try to make something look stupid all the time to hide the heart things. Because a lot of wickedness could be done with corn, with a chair, with a pillow, with a drink, with food, all kinds of wickedness and breaking of the law could be done in the heart with what looks like worthless, no big deal things. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what the murderous heart is doing. Someone, steals someone's gun. Oh, it's not that big of a deal, is it? Just one gun. Someone might go and kill a man for, if they catch him, if the rage is severe. Well, that wasn't maybe a great, but the point is, it's the evil in the heart. And I just found patterns of what the old man does. That's all. They'll try to make it personal and they'll try to make it about the carnal thing on the surface, as if that's what you're speaking of as the thing. Like, oh, some great evil was done. All the time they do this. They'll be, oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's a big deal because the heart's being tested. All right, that's it. Thanks. Yeah, that's it. Peace, take care, seek truth from above.